Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Horizon, watching the alien planet grow larger on the main screen. The blue and green world looked peaceful from space, with white clouds swirling around its surface. 3 moons hung in the dark sky like silver coins. This was his first time leading a diplomatic mission to an alien world, and he felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "Captain, we're receiving a welcome message from the planet," said Lieutenant Ben Carter from the communications station. His young face showed excitement mixed with nervousness. This was his first alien contact. Jake nodded and straightened his uniform. "Put it on screen, Lieutenant." The image changed to show a tall, thin alien with pale blue skin and large black eyes. The creature wore flowing robes that seemed to shimmer in the light. When it spoke, its voice was smooth and musical, like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Chancellor Vextar of the Zentari Federation. We welcome you to our home world of Zentara Prime. Your arrival brings great joy to our hearts and hope for friendship between our peoples." Jake stepped forward. "Chancellor Vextar, I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Fleet. We are honored by your invitation and look forward to building strong ties between our civilizations." The alien's face showed what might have been a smile, though it was hard to tell with their different features. "Captain Morrison, we have prepared a grand ceremony to welcome you and your delegation. Our finest artists and musicians will perform, and we will share our most sacred traditions with you. Please bring your senior officers. This will be a day remembered by both our species for generations to come." After the transmission ended, Jake turned to his crew. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Everyone seemed to feel the importance of this moment. "Commander Bell, are you ready for this?" Jake asked his chief diplomat, Lisa. Bell was a small woman with sharp green eyes and graying hair pulled back in a tight bun. She had spent 20 years in Earth's diplomatic service and had handled first contact with 3 other alien species. Her experience made her the perfect choice for this mission. "As ready as anyone can be, Captain," she replied, checking her data pad. "I've studied everything we know about Zentari culture. A value ceremony and tradition above almost everything else. The fact that they're inviting us to participate in their sacred rituals is actually quite remarkable. Most alien species keep their religious practices private." Dr. Ryan Cooper looked up from his medical scanner. He was the ship's doctor and xenobiologist, a thin man with worried eyes who always seemed to be thinking about potential problems. "Captain, I still think we should be more careful about participating in alien ceremonies. We don't know how their food or drinks might affect human biology. Our systems could react badly to substances that are perfectly safe for them." Jake understood the doctor's concerns, but they had spent months preparing for this mission. Earth needed allies in this part of the galaxy, and the Zentari Federation controlled 12 star systems with valuable resources and strategic locations. "Doctor, we've run every test possible on the samples they provided. Your own analysis showed no immediate dangers to human health. We can't build trust with our potential allies if we refuse to participate in their customs." Amy Parker, the ship's cultural specialist, nodded in agreement. She was young and eager, with bright blue eyes and blonde hair that she kept trying to tuck behind her ears. "The sharing of food and drink is central to Zentari diplomacy, Captain. In their culture, refusing hospitality is seen as a grave insult. It could destroy any chance of an alliance." Security Chief Dan Brooks stood near the back of the bridge, his arms crossed over his broad chest. He was a big man with close-cropped black hair and scars on his hands from years of military service. He never looked completely comfortable unless he was expecting trouble. "I don't like it," Brooks said in his deep voice. "Something feels wrong about this whole situation. Why are they being so friendly?" Most alien species are more cautious during first contact. The Centauri are acting like we're old friends. Commander Bell turned to face him. And not every species is hostile. The Centauri have been peaceful for over 200 years. They haven't fought a war since they formed their federation. Their welcoming attitude might just be genuine. Jake made his decision. We're going down to the planet as planned. Dr. Cooper, you'll monitor everyone's vital signs during the ceremony. If anyone shows signs of adverse reactions, we leave immediately. Brooks, you'll have a security team standing by on the ship, but they stay out of sight unless I call. For them, the captain walked to the viewport and looked down at the alien world. Cities of crystal and metal sparkled on the day side of the planet like jewels scattered across the landscape. Rivers of silver wound between green forests and golden plains. It was beautiful, more beautiful than any world he had ever seen. "Captain," said Lieutenant Carter, "they're sending coordinates for our landing site. It's right next to their capital city." "Very well. Commander Bell, Dr. Cooper, Amy, Dan, you're with me. We'll take Shuttle Bay 2. Everyone else maintain standard orbit and monitor all communications." An hour later, the 5 humans sat in their shuttle as it descended through Zentara Prime's atmosphere. The sky was a pale purple color, and 2 of the planet's 3 moons were visible even in daylight. Below them, the Zentari capital city grew larger and more impressive with each passing minute. The city was built around a massive crystal structure that rose from the center, like a mountain of blue glass. Smaller buildings spread out from this central spire in perfect geometric patterns. Gardens and parks were scattered throughout the urban area, connected by flowing waterways that caught and reflected the light. "Look at that architecture," Amy whispered, pressing her face against the shuttle's window. "It's like they grew their city instead of building it." Dr. Cooper was less impressed with the beauty. He kept checking his medical equipment and looking worried. "Remember, everyone, if you start feeling sick or dizzy during the ceremony, let me know immediately. We don't know enough about Centauri biology to predict how their ceremonial substances might affect us." As their shuttle approached the landing pad, Jake could see hundreds of Centauri gathered in the plaza around the crystal spire. They were all dressed in colorful robes that seemed to change color as they moved. Music drifted up from the crowd. Strange and beautiful melodies, unlike anything human ears had ever heard. "Quite a welcome," Commander Bell observed. "They must have invited representatives from all 12 species in their federation." The shuttle touched down with a soft bump, and Jake took a deep breath. "Remember, people, we're not just representing Earth today. We're representing all of humanity. Whatever happens down there, we need to show them that humans are worthy allies and friends." As the shuttle door opened and alien air filled their ship, none of them realized they were walking into a trap that had been months in the making. The beautiful ceremony waiting for them was designed to be the last thing they ever saw. The moment Jake Morrison stepped off the shuttle, he was amazed by what he saw. The Zentari capital was even more beautiful up close than it had looked from space. The crystal spire rose above them like a blue mountain, its surface reflecting the purple sky and the light from the alien sun. The air smelled like flowers and rain, clean and fresh in a way that reminded him of Earth's forests after a storm. Hundreds of aliens filled the plaza around them. The Zentari were tall and graceful, with pale blue skin that seemed to glow softly in the light. But there were other species too. Short, furry creatures with big ears stood next to tall, thin beings that looked like walking trees. Some aliens had scales that glittered like jewels, while others had skin that changed colors like chameleons. "Welcome, friends from Earth," said Chancellor Vexstar as he approached the human delegation. Up close, the Centauri leader was even more impressive. He stood nearly 7 feet tall, and his robes seemed to be made of liquid light that flowed around his thin frame. "You honor us with your presence on this sacred day?" Jake bowed slightly, the way Amy had taught him during their cultural briefings. "Chancellor, we are honored to be here. Your world is more beautiful than we ever imagined." The alien's large, black eyes seemed to sparkle with pleasure. "Come, Captain Morrison, let us show you the wonders of our civilization." The ceremony began with music unlike anything the humans had ever heard. Zantari musicians played instruments that looked like living creatures, creating sounds that seemed to come from the air itself. The melodies were so beautiful that Amy felt tears running down her cheeks. Next came the dancers. Aliens from all 12 species of the Federation moved together in perfect harmony. Their bodies flowed like water, telling stories without words about the history of their alliance. Jake watched in amazement as creatures that looked nothing alike moved as one, creating patterns of incredible beauty. "This is remarkable," Commander Bell whispered to Jake. "The level of cooperation between these species is unlike anything we've seen in the galaxy. Look how they move together, how they trust each other completely." Dr. Cooper was less focused on the beauty of the performance. He kept checking his medical scanner, monitoring the air quality and looking for any signs of danger. So far, everything seemed normal, but something made him uneasy. The ceremony was almost too perfect, too welcoming. "Captain," he said quietly, "I'm reading some unusual energy signatures from that crystal spire. Nothing dangerous, but the patterns are strange. It's almost like the whole structure is alive." Before Jake could respond, Chancellor Vextar raised his arms, and the music stopped. The thousands of aliens in the plaza fell silent, creating a quiet so complete that the humans could hear their own heartbeats. "Friends and honored guests," the Chancellor announced, his musical voice carrying clearly across the plaza, "we have reached the most sacred part of our ceremony. For over 1,000 years, the Zentari people have sealed important agreements by sharing the drink of unity, the blessed Varix." A group of younger Zentari approached, carrying a crystal container filled with blue liquid that seemed to glow with its own inner light. The liquid moved strangely, almost like it was alive, swirling in patterns that hurt to look at. Directly. Amy leaned close to Jake. "This is it, Captain. According to everything I've read, the sharing of Varix is the highest honor the Zentari can offer. No species has ever been invited to participate in this ceremony before." Chancellor Vextar took the crystal container in his long, thin hands. "This sacred drink connects the mind and spirit of all who share it. It opens the heart to truth and builds bonds that cannot be broken. When you drink the Varix, you become part of our family, connected to all who have drunk before you." The alien leader's eyes seemed to glow as he looked directly at Jake. "Captain Morrison, as the leader of your delegation, you must drink first. This is our way." Jake felt the weight of the moment. This could be the beginning of a new age of cooperation between humans and the Zentari Federation. Earth needed all eyes, needed friends in a galaxy that often seemed hostile to newcomers. Dr. Cooper stepped closer to Jake. "Captain, please be careful. We still don't know enough about how this substance might affect human biology." "Doctor, we've come too far to back down now," Jake replied quietly. He turned to Chancellor Vextar and nodded. "I am honored to accept your hospitality." The Chancellor smiled, showing teeth that were perfectly white and sharper than human teeth. "Excellent. The Varix is not just a drink, Captain. It is a bridge between souls, a path to understanding. Drink deeply, and let it fill you with the wisdom of our people." Jake took the crystal container. The blue liquid inside was warm to the touch and seemed to pulse with a life of its own. He could smell something like flowers mixed with spices he couldn't identify. The scent was pleasant, almost intoxicating by itself. To friendship between our peoples, Jake said, raising the container high so all could see. The thousands of aliens in the plaza cheered, their voices creating a sound like wind through crystal caves. Jake brought the container to his lips and drank deeply. The Varix tasted sweet at first, like honey mixed with starlight, but there was something else underneath, something that made his tongue tingle. Commander Bell drank next, then Dr. Cooper, Amy, and finally Dan Brooks. Each of them felt the same strange tingling sensation, the same sweet taste followed by something they couldn't quite identify. Chancellor Vextar watched them with intense interest, his black eyes never leaving their faces. How do you feel, my human friends? The Varix affects each species differently. For us, it brings clarity of thought and peace of mind. At first, Jake felt fine. The liquid had been warm and pleasant going down, and he felt a slight tingling in his fingers and toes. Commander Bell was smiling, looking more relaxed than she had since they arrived. Amy was examining the crystal container with fascination, and even Dr. Cooper seemed less worried than usual. Then, about 10 minutes after drinking, Jake began to feel strange. The tingling in his hands was getting stronger, and he felt slightly dizzy. When he looked at his companions, he saw that they were experiencing similar symptoms. "Doctor," he said quietly, "are you feeling what I'm feeling?" Dr. Cooper's face had gone pale, and he was checking his medical scanner with shaking hands. "Captain, something's wrong. My readings are showing elevated toxin levels in all of our systems. The VAR-IX ... It's not just a ceremonial drink." Amy was swaying on her feet, and Dan Brooks was gripping her arm to keep her steady. Commander Bell's eyes were wide with alarm as she realized what was happening. Chancellor Vextar was no longer smiling. His expression had changed to something cold and calculating. "You are feeling the effects now, yes? Do not worry. It will be over soon." Jake tried to stand straighter, but his legs felt weak. "What did you give us?" "A gift, Captain Morrison. A gift that will solve many problems for the Zentari Federation and our allies." The Chancellor's voice had lost its musical quality and now sounded harsh and threatening. "You see, humanity has become quite troublesome in recent years. Your rapid expansion, your military capabilities, your refusal to accept the established order of galactic politics. Many species are concerned about what you might do if left unchecked." Dr. Cooper was fighting to stay conscious as he worked with his medical equipment. "It's a targeted poison," he managed to say, "designed specifically for human biochemistry. They've been planning this." The Chancellor nodded approvingly. "Your doctor is quite perceptive. Yes, we have studied human biology extensively. The Varix you drank contains compounds that are harmless to Zentari physiology, but deadly to humans. You have perhaps 2 hours before the effects become irreversible." Jake felt anger cutting through the growing weakness in his body. "Why? We came here in peace. We wanted to be your allies." "Peace," the Chancellor repeated, as if the word tasted bad. "Humans speak of peace while building warships. You talk of friendship while conquering world after world." The galaxy was stable before your species left your little blue planet. Now, everywhere we look, there are human colonies, human trade routes, human military bases. The aliens in the plaza were no longer cheering. They watched in silence as the 5 humans struggled to remain standing. Some looked sad, others seemed satisfied, but none moved to help. "This ceremony will be remembered as a tragic accident," Chancellor Vextar continued. 5 brave human explorers who died from an unfortunate allergic reaction to alien food. So very sad. Of course, this will require us to carefully reconsider any future contact with your species. For safety reasons. You understand. Commander Bell forced herself to speak, despite the poison spreading through her system. "You won't get away with this. When we don't report back, Earth We'll send ships to investigate." The Chancellor's laugh was like breaking glass. "Oh, but you will report back, Commander. Just before you die, you will send a message to your ship, telling them that the ceremony is going wonderfully and that you plan to stay longer than expected. Your Captain Morrison will sound very happy and very much alive when he records that message." Jake realized the full scope of the trap they had walked into. This wasn't just murder. It was the beginning of something much larger. With the human delegation dead and Earth believing the mission was successful, the Centauri could begin their real plan as darkness. Dr. Ryan Cooper had always been the type of person who stayed calm in dangerous situations. During his medical training on Earth, he had worked in emergency rooms during natural disasters. He had treated wounded soldiers on colony worlds under attack. But lying on the cold crystal floor of the Centauri Plaza, fighting against poison designed to kill him, tested even his steady nerves. The other humans were scattered around him, all struggling with the effects of the Varix. Captain Morrison was trying to sit up, his face pale and covered with sweat. Commander Bell was curled on her side, breathing hard and fast. Amy Parker was barely conscious, her blue eyes unfocused and confused. Dan Brooks was the only one still on his feet, but he was swaying like a tree in a strong wind. Around them, the aliens watched and waited. Some looked sad. Others seemed curious about how long it would take the humans to die. Chancellor Vextar stood with a group of other important-looking Centauri, speaking in their musical language and occasionally glancing at the poisoned humans. "They think we have maybe 2 hours," Cooper whispered to Jake, who was lying close. "Enough to hear. But they don't understand human biology as well as they think they do." Cooper had been studying the poison with his medical scanner while pretending to be more affected than he actually was. The aliens had made their Varix very carefully, but they had made some important mistakes. Human livers were different from Centauri livers. Human kidneys processed toxins in ways the aliens hadn't expected. Most importantly, humans had something most other species lacked: the ability to adapt quickly to unexpected challenges. "What do you mean, Doctor?" Jake asked, his voice weak but determined. "Our metabolism is faster than they calculated," Cooper explained quietly, "and our immune systems are more aggressive. The poison is designed to shut down our nervous system slowly, but human bodies fight back harder than they expected. We might have 4 or 5 hours instead of 2. This was still not much time, but it was something. Cooper began working on a plan while continuing to monitor his companions. The scanner showed that all 5 humans were in serious danger, but none of them were dying as quickly as the Centauri expected. Amy Parker, despite her condition, was still thinking like the cultural specialist she was. She had noticed something important about the aliens watching them. "Captain," she whispered, "look at their faces. Some of them don't like what's happening." Not all of the Centauri Federation agreed to this plan. She was right. While Chancellor Vextar and his supporters looked satisfied, other aliens in the crowd seemed uncomfortable. A few were even whispering among themselves and looking worried. This gave Jake an idea. "Brooks," he called softly to his security chief, "can you reach your communicator?" Dan Brooks felt around his belt with shaking hands. The aliens had not taken their equipment, probably thinking they would die too quickly to use it. He found his communicator and managed to activate it. "This is Brooks to USS Horizon," he said in a voice that sounded drunk and confused. Everything is going great down here. The ceremony is amazing. Just amazing." Lieutenant Carter's voice came back immediately. "Security Chief Brooks, you sound strange. Are you all right?" "I'm fantastic," Brooks replied, putting on an act. "This alien drink they gave us is incredible. I feel like I could fly. Captain Morrison wants to know if you can send down some of our own alcohol to share with our new friends." something stronger than what they have. On the ship, the bridge, crew looked at each other with confusion. Captain Morrison had never been much of a drinker, and Brooks was known for being serious and professional. But if they were having a good time at the ceremony, that was good news. "Copy that, Brooks." "We'll see what we can do," Carter replied. This message served two purposes. It bought them time by making the ship's crew think everything was normal, and it sent a coded message that something was wrong. Brooks had used specific words that would alert the crew to trouble without making the aliens suspicious. Chancellor Vextar had been listening to the conversation with his translation device. He looked puzzled by the humans' behavior. According to his scientists, they should be getting weaker and more confused. Not asking for more alcohol. Dr. Cooper was working on the most important part of their survival plan. Using his medical scanner and the samples of local plant life that Amy had collected earlier, he was trying to find something that might help counteract the poison. Zentari plants had evolved alongside Zentari biochemistry, which meant some of them might contain compounds that could interfere with the Variks. "Amy," he whispered, "those purple flowers you picked up near the landing pad, do you still have them?" Amy nodded weakly and pulled a small sample from her pocket. Cooper scanned the flowers and felt his heart jump with excitement. The plant contained natural compounds that could help human livers process the toxins more quickly. "Everyone, listen carefully," Cooper said. "I need you all to chew on these flower petals. Don't swallow them. Just chew and let the juices absorb through your mouth tissues. It won't cure the poison, but it might give us more time." The 5 humans began chewing the bitter flower petals while trying to look like they were just enjoying the taste of something new. To the watching aliens, it looked like the dying humans were trying to eat flowers in their confusion. Commander Bell, despite feeling terrible, was thinking like the diplomat she was. She had noticed that Chancellor Vextar kept looking at a smaller group of Zentari who seemed unhappy with what was happening. These might be political opponents who could be turned into allies. "Captain," she whispered, "I think there's a power struggle happening here. The Chancellor might not have the full support of his people for this plan." Jake understood immediately. If they could create doubt among the aliens, they might be able to turn the situation around. But first, they needed to convince the Zentari that the poison wasn't working as expected. "Everyone," Jake said quietly, "we need to make them think. We're getting stronger instead of weaker. Can you do that?" One by one, his companions nodded. It would be difficult, but they were all trained professionals who knew how to push through pain and exhaustion. Amy was the first to sit up, swaying, but determined. She looked around at the aliens watching them and smiled broadly. "This is wonderful," she said in a loud, cheerful voice. "I feel so clear-headed. Is this what the Variks always does?" Dr. Cooper forced himself to stand, using his medical training to control his body despite the poison. "I've never felt anything like this," he announced. "It's like every cell in my body is singing." Dan Brooks got to his feet and stretched his arms above his head like he was full of energy. "Captain, this stuff is amazing. I feel like I could run a marathon." Commander Bell stood up next, though she had to lean against a crystal pillar for support. "Chancellor Vextar, this Variks is incredible. The way it makes you think so clearly, see so much more than before. Is this why your Federation has been so successful?" Jake was the last to stand, but when he did, he looked directly at Chancellor Vextar with clear, focused eyes. "I have to ask, Chancellor, do you have anything stronger than Variks? Because if this is what your basic ceremonial drink can do, I can't imagine what your really powerful substances must be like." The Chancellor's face showed confusion and growing concern. His scientists had assured him that the humans would be unconscious by now, dying slowly and quietly. Instead, They were not only awake, but seemed to be getting more energetic. You feel well? The Chancellor asked carefully. Better than well, Jake replied with a grin that looked completely genuine. I feel like I could take on the whole galaxy. Commander Bell, make a note in our report that human Zentari biochemical compatibility is even better than we hoped. The watching aliens began murmuring among themselves. Some looked confused, others seemed worried. A few of the Zentari who had appeared unhappy with the Chancellor's plan began moving closer to the humans. One of these aliens, an elderly Zentari with silver markings on her blue skin, stepped forward. Chancellor, she said in accented but clear English, perhaps we should study this reaction more carefully. The humans seemed to be experiencing effects we did not expect. Chancellor Vextare's eyes narrowed as he looked at the old female. Elder, Solana, there is nothing to study. The ceremony is proceeding as planned. But Elder Solana was not backing down. Is it, Chancellor? Because these humans do not look like they are dying. They look like they are thriving. Jake saw his chance. Dying? He asked, putting just the right amount of surprise and confusion in his voice. Why would we be dying? This Varix is the most wonderful thing I've ever tasted. It makes me feel more alive than I've ever felt. He turned to look directly at the Chancellor. Unless ... you didn't expect us to react this way? Did you think it would hurt us? The Chancellor was trapped. He couldn't admit to poisoning them without confessing. To attempted murder in front of hundreds of witnesses from multiple species. But he also couldn't explain why the humans were still alive, and apparently getting stronger. Dr. Cooper made the situation even more difficult for the Chancellor. From a medical standpoint, he said in his professional voice, this is fascinating. The Varix seems to interact with human biochemistry in ways that enhance our natural abilities. Our metabolism, our immune response, even our cognitive functions seem to be oper. 3 hours had passed since the humans drank the poisoned Varix, and Chancellor Vextar was beginning to panic. According to his scientists, the humans should have been dead an hour ago. Instead, they seemed to be getting stronger and more energetic. With each passing minute, Captain Jake Morrison was walking around the plaza, talking excitedly with different groups of aliens about human culture and technology. His voice was clear and strong, showing no signs of the poison that should have killed him. Commander Lisa Bell was engaged in deep conversation with several Zentari elders, discussing trade agreements and cultural exchanges with the enthusiasm of someone who had just discovered her life's passion. Dr. Ryan Cooper had set up an impromptu medical demonstration using his scanner to show fascinated alien scientists how human biochemistry was processing the Varix. You see, he explained to a group of Zentari doctors, human liver function is remarkably efficient at breaking down complex organic compounds. What might be toxic to other species often becomes beneficial to us after processing. Amy Parker was leading a group of young aliens in what appeared to be Earth folk songs, her voice ringing clear and joyful across the plaza. Even Dan Brooks, normally quiet and serious, was demonstrating human martial arts techniques to a crowd of impressed alien warriors. Elder Silana approached Chancellor Vextar with several other senior Zentari. Her silver markings seemed to glow. With inner light, a sign of strong emotion among her people. Chancellor, I think we need to discuss what we are witnessing here. There is nothing to discuss, Vextar replied, but his voice lacked its usual confidence. The ceremony is proceeding. Normally, is it? Asked another elder, an ancient male named Mordok, whose blue skin was marked with the scars of many battles. Because I have participated in Varix ceremonies for over 200 years, and I have never seen reactions like this. Elder Solana gestured toward the humans. Look at them, Chancellor. They are not just surviving our most sacred drink. They are thriving on it. Captain Morrison seems to have more energy now than when he arrived. Dr. Cooper's medical readings show that his body is actually processing the Varix compounds and converting them into beneficial substances. Jake heard his name mentioned and walked over to the group of Zentari leaders. His smile was bright and genuine, though only his companions knew how much effort it was taking him to maintain this performance. The flower extract Dr. Cooper had found was helping, but the poison was still in their systems. Elder Silana, I couldn't help but overhear, Jake said with cheerful enthusiasm. You're absolutely right about the effects of Varix on humans. It's remarkable how well our biochemistries complement each other. In fact, I was just thinking, this could be the beginning of some amazing medical research collaborations. He turned to Chancellor Vexstar with an expression of innocent curiosity. Chancellor, I have to ask, when your people first developed Varix, did you test it on other species? Because the way it interacts with human physiology suggests it might have been designed specifically to benefit us. This question put the Chancellor in an impossible position. If he said yes, he would have to explain why they had been testing ceremonial drinks on other species. If he said no, he couldn't explain why the Varix was affecting humans so positively when it should have killed them. The Varix is ancient, Vexstar said carefully. Its origins are lost in the mists of time. Dr. Cooper joined the conversation, his medical scanner still in his hand. That's fascinating from a biochemical perspective, he said with scientific excitement, because my readings suggest that the compounds in Varix are breaking down into substances that are remarkably similar to human neurotransmitters and metabolic enhancers. It's almost like it was designed to optimize human brain and body function. Amy Parker had finished her singing demonstration and bounced over to the group with obvious joy. Did someone say the Varix was designed for humans? That would explain so much. I feel like I understand Zentari culture better than ever before. The way you've organized your society, the way you balance cooperation and individual achievement, it all makes perfect sense now. Commander Bell appeared at Jake's shoulder, her diplomatic training allowing her to read the political situation developing among the Zentari leaders. Captain, I've been talking with the various species representatives, and they're all very interested in how humans are reacting to Varix. Several of them have mentioned that they've never seen anything like it. She turned to the assembled elders with professional enthusiasm. In fact, I think this could be the foundation for a completely new type of alliance. If Varix enhances human abilities while remaining safe for Zentari consumption, we could develop joint research programs, shared medical facilities, even combined military training exercises. Chancellor Vexstar's face was turning a darker shade of blue, which Jake was beginning to recognize as a sign of extreme stress in Zentari physiology. The Chancellor's carefully planned assassination was turning into an advertisement for human Zentari cooperation. Perhaps, Elder Mordock suggested thoughtfully, we should invite the humans to stay longer than originally planned. If the Varix is having such positive effects, we could study the phenomenon more thoroughly. That's a wonderful idea, Jake. Agreed immediately. In fact, we should contact my ship and have them send down some of our own traditional drinks. Fair exchange, right? You share your Varix with us. We share our beverages with you. Dan Brooks, who had been listening to the conversation while continuing his martial arts demonstration, walked over with a group of young Zentari warriors following him like devoted students. Captain, these warriors are very interested in human combat techniques. Apparently, the Varix has enhanced my reflexes and strength beyond normal human limits. I'm performing moves I've never been able to do before. One of the young Zentari, a female with bright silver markings, spoke up in heavily accented English. The human Brooks moves like liquid lightning. His combat style is unlike anything we have seen. If this is what Varix does to human warriors, our combined military forces would be unstoppable. This comment caught the attention of several alien species representatives who had been watching the ceremonies from a distance. A tall, scaled creature approached the group, its reptilian eyes fixed on Dan Brooks with obvious interest. "I am Commander Zexith of the Krillian Defense Force," the alien announced in a hissing voice. "If what we are witnessing is true, if Varix enhances human abilities rather than harming them, this changes everything we know about interspecies biochemistry." Jake saw another opportunity to put pressure on Chancellor Vextar. "Commander Zexith, that's exactly what we're thinking. This discovery could revolutionize alliance building across the galaxy. Imagine military units where human soldiers enhanced by Varix work alongside Zentari forces enhanced by human combat techniques." The crowd of aliens around them was growing, larger as word spread about the unusual human reactions to the sacred drink. Representatives from all 12 Federation species were asking questions, taking notes, and discussing the implications among themselves. Chancellor Vextar found himself surrounded by aliens who were increasingly excited about the possibilities of human-Zentari cooperation. His secret plan to eliminate the human threat was becoming a public celebration of human-alien partnership. "Chancellor," Elder Solana said firmly, "I think we need to formally invite the humans to extend their stay. This is clearly a historic moment that deserves proper study and documentation. And we should contact their ship immediately," added Elder Mordock. "If the Varix is having these effects on just 5 humans, imagine what we could learn from a larger group." Jake pretended to consider this suggestion carefully, though inside he was fighting to stay conscious as the poison continued to work through his system. "That's very generous, but we shouldn't impose on your hospitality. Unless, of course, you're genuinely interested in establishing a long-term research partnership." "Oh, we are very interested," Elder Solana assured him. "In fact, I think this discovery is important enough to warrant a full Federation Council meeting. All 12 species should hear about this development." Chancellor Vextar looked like he wanted to disappear into the Crystal Plaza. "Elders, perhaps we are moving too quickly. We should study this phenomenon more carefully before making any major decisions." "Nonsense," Elder Mordak replied. "The evidence is right in front of us. Look at these humans. They are practically glowing with health and energy. Dr. Cooper's medical readings confirm that their bodies are not only processing the Varix safely, but actually benefiting from it." Commander Zexith stepped closer to the Chancellor. "Vextar, if you try to delay or prevent this research, the Krillian Defense Force will want to know why. This discovery could change the balance of power in this entire sector of the galaxy." Other species representatives were nodding in agreement. A flower-like alien from the Bloom Collective chimed in with a voice like wind through bells. The humans seemed to have unlocked something new in the Varix. "We must understand this phenomenon." Jake could see that Chancellor Vextar was trapped by his own people's enthusiasm. The aliens who should have been mourning the tragic death of the human delegation were instead planning expanded cooperation programs, not Dr. Cooper, still fighting the effects. Admiral Kate Sullivan's voice came through the communicator clear and strong, cutting through the tense atmosphere in the Zentari Plaza like a sword through silk. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Sullivan aboard the USS Defiance. We received your coded distress signal and are currently in orbit with a full battle group. Please report your status immediately." Jake felt relief wash over him as he heard his old friend's voice. Kate had served with him during the colony wars, and she knew how to read between the lines of his communications. When Dan Brooks had asked for something stronger than alien alcohol, Kate had understood that the diplomatic mission was in serious trouble. Chancellor Vextar's face went from purple to almost white as he realized that human warships were now in his star system. His plan had called for the deaths to look like an accident, followed by a carefully orchestrated attack on isolated human colonies. He had never expected the humans to call for military backup during a diplomatic ceremony. "Admiral Sullivan," Jake replied, his voice carrying clearly across the silent plaza. "We're alive and well, but we've made some disturbing discoveries about our host's intentions. I think you need to hear this directly from Chancellor Vextar himself." The assembled aliens watched with growing concern as the situation spiraled beyond anyone's control. Elder Solana stepped forward, her silver markings now blazing with anger. "Chancellor, what have you done?" Before Vextar could answer, Dr. Cooper activated his medical scanner's recording function. "Admiral, I'm transmitting detailed biochemical analysis of a substance called Varix that was given to us during the ceremony. According to my readings, it contains targeted toxins designed specifically to kill humans." Admiral Sullivan's response was ice cold. "Understood, Doctor. Chancellor Vextar, you have 30 seconds to explain why you attempted to murder a diplomatic delegation under the protection of galactic law." The Chancellor looked around desperately at the hundreds of aliens surrounding him. His own people were staring at him with expressions of shock and disgust. The representatives from the other Federation species were backing away, clearly wanting no part of whatever conspiracy he had been involved in. "This is all a misunderstanding," Vextar said weakly. "The humans are obviously fine. Look at them. They're healthier than when they arrived." Commander Bell stepped forward with her diplomatic training fully engaged. "Admiral, I think there's something else you should know. This wasn't just an assassination attempt. It was the beginning of a larger plan to justify military action against human colonies." Jake nodded grimly. The Chancellor admitted that multiple alien species are concerned about human expansion. They plan to kill us, claim it was an accident, and then use our deaths as an excuse to reconsider contact with humanity. "Admiral," Sullivan's laugh was sharp and dangerous. "Is that so?" "Well, Chancellor, I have some news for you. When we detected the coded distress signal, I didn't just bring one ship. There are currently 15 human vessels in your system, including 3 heavy cruisers and a carrier group. If you want to reconsider contact with humanity, now would be an excellent time to do it." The effect of this announcement on the crowd was immediate and dramatic. Aliens began talking rapidly among themselves in dozens of different languages. Several species representatives were already activating their own communicators, presumably to contact their governments and distance themselves from the Zentari plot. Elder Silana turned to face Chancellor Vextar, with fury blazing in her black eyes. "You have brought shame upon our entire Federation. Worse, you have endangered every species in our alliance with your foolish conspiracy." "The humans were a threat," Vextar protested desperately. "Their rapid expansion, their military capabilities. Surely you can see the danger they represent." Jake stepped forward, still feeling the effects of the poison, but drawing strength from his anger. "Chancellor, you want to know what the real difference is between humans and aliens like you? When you tried to poison us, we didn't ask for revenge. We asked if you had anything stronger." He gestured to his companions, who, despite everything they had endured, were still standing tall and defiant. "You see, humans don't just survive, we adapt. We take whatever you throw at us, and we make it part of our strength." Dr. Cooper held up a small vial filled with blue liquid. "Admiral, I've managed to synthesize an improved version of their Varix using compounds from local plants. It's about 3 times more potent than the original, and completely safe for human consumption." Admiral Sullivan's voice carried a note of amusement. "Outstanding work, Doctor. I think we'll be keeping that formula." Amy Parker, her enthusiasm undimmed despite everything they had been through, addressed the crowd of aliens. "You know what the really funny part is? We actually would have been great allies. Humans love sharing technology, culture, knowledge, everything the Chancellor claimed to be afraid of. But now, thanks to his betrayal, you've shown the galaxy exactly what happens when someone tries to poison the wine at a human diplomatic ceremony. The final blow came from an unexpected source. Elder Mordok, the ancient warrior, stepped forward and formally stripped Chancellor Vextar of his authority. By the ancient laws of our people, you are no longer fit to speak for the Zentari Federation. Your actions have violated every principle we hold sacred. As Zentari security forces moved to arrest their former leader, Admiral Sullivan delivered a final verdict. Attention all ships and species in this system. Let this be a lesson that humanity remembers its friends and never forgets its enemies. Any species that wants peaceful relations with Earth will be welcomed with open arms. Any species that tries treachery will learn why humans are the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy when we're angry. Jake looked around at the aliens watching, them with a mixture of awe, fear, and newfound respect. Admiral, I think our diplomatic mission here is complete, but we'll be keeping that bottle of Varix as a souvenir. Years later, that bottle would sit on Admiral Sullivan's desk as a reminder of the day humanity turned attempted murder into a diplomatic victory, and proved that when you try to poison humans, they just ask for something stronger and then make their own version that's even better.